Right, time for today's focus, and there's just one day to go until Iran heads to the polls in crucial elections, the first to be held since a landmark nuclear deal was clinched last year. It's also the first time that voters will choose two important government bodies, members of parliament and a clerical council known as the Assembly of Experts. They're responsible for selecting Iran's next supreme leader. But with crippling international sanctions lifted under the nuclear agreement, the battle between hardliners and moderate pro-reform candidates has been dominated by one issue: the country's economy. This report from our correspondent Mariam Perzadeh in Tehran and Chris Moore here in Paris.
An upbeat atmosphere as Iran's reformists launch their campaign. President Rouhani's camp's been in the minority in parliament, but with this poll they're hoping for a breakthrough. Their appeal to voters is based around two issues.
We support the government's program of economic growth. We're also very concerned about young people, their daily lives and jobs.
Freed from 12 years of sanctions, Iran's economy is set to change, and fast. These are the first elections since the landmark nuclear deal reached 6 months ago, when the president made good on his 2013 election promise. Now, voters are eager for the country to capitalise.
I hope there's more business activity. That way, there'll be more job opportunities for young people and the economy will develop.
We've had 12 years of sanctions and the economy's been paralysed for 8 of them. All we want from the politicians is for them to improve our lives. They have to help us because in the end, it's the people who count.
Next stop, the Tarajij Bazaar, one of Tehran's biggest markets. There are plenty of goods here at a wide range of prices. In recent months, inflation has hit everyday products like bread, meat and fruit and veg. As they awaited the nuclear deal, many Iranians cut back on spending.
The politicians need to keep better control of the economy because it can have a negative effect on our everyday lives.
We need prices to fall so we can live better. Costs are going up day by day, so things are getting harder for us. For example, for people like me who have rent to pay, life's getting tougher, and the authorities need to realise that.
For this trader who's worked here for the past 20 years, the biggest challenge is keeping prices stable during a vital period for the country.
I've been saying that for the past year, prices have not gone up, contrary to what people think. If the government manages to keep it like that, I'm sure that in 2 years' time, the economy will be much stronger.
With Iran reconnected to the world banking system, one of the biggest challenges it will face in the coming years is the return of major global corporations. Some commentators have predicted the nation will become an El Dorado, as companies shun a Europe mired in sluggish growth for an economy that's set to expand by 5% next year alone. But others say lasting change will take time.
Expecting things to happen so quickly, I think, even Iranians, not only for foreigners, but even for Iranians, it's very difficult to explain to the public that sanctions are being lifted. We need 6 months to a year to adjust, to find our relationships, to find ways of actually doing business together, transferring money. Now we have to focus in Iran onto bettering ourselves. We have to make sure our companies work well, and we have to make sure that we can increase productivity and efficiency, and that is difficult. We have to use technology, we have to get help.
For now, the most visible change since the lifting of sanctions is in the petrol sector. Iran's upped production to 1 million barrels a day and once again become a major exporter. But analysts say more's needed to bring in the revenue required to tackle the country's problems. With a population of 80 million, unemployment stands at 12%, and it's at its worst amongst the young and educated, on whom the future depends.